So you want to step up your game with smoothing out your vinyl wall covering, getting all of the bubbles out. The wider the better on your smoother when you're dealing with vinyl like this. I use these and I take two hands and I briskly bring it down and I get all of the bubbles out like that. Take a look at this. What do you think this would do, this point to this vinyl? You think it could scratch it? Let me show you how to avoid that. Watch this. You're looking at a Wagner heat gun, and we are going to make our smoothers conform to a bended edge. Why do I want to bend it? Well, do you think that point going up against our wall covering is going to help us out? All I want to do is just make it point upward. We're getting there. Let's see. There we go. I'm getting some bend on it. I'm telling you right now, you and I both know you have scratched your wallpaper. I know you did, because you hang paper. I'm not talking about residential vinyl that has paper in it. I'm talking about this stuff behind me that has a finish on it that's shiny. It's not textured. Look at that stuff. See that shine? I use lots of water on that because it scratches. And so the easiest way to avoid scratching is to use a smoother. First of all, it doesn't have points that can stick into it. And so it's just a suggestion for you. I just want a slight bend in it. So that, see that? So that as I'm moving along, my smoother doesn't stab the wallpaper. And now if you want to cool it off, dip it in some water. Aha! That's it. See it smoking? See that? And that's what I want. And I don't want to use this smoother on everything I smooth. It's just for this slick stuff. Look, I got a lot of bubbles to get out. Look at how nice. Look at how nice. See that? You see how it's not touching it? You see what I'm really doing. Look in the middle of your screen. That's the section I want smoothing out my wallpaper, not the top. Because the top gets nicked, right? It gets banged around, it gets a scratch in it, and then the scratch is on your wallpaper. There you go, folks. A little tip, a little trick to make your job easier. Now I want to show you what I mean when I say how we smooth this out. Folks, this is, you know, those of you who hang wallpaper regularly, this is the expensive type 2 vinyl that's in children's centers, it's in clubhouses. It's really fine stuff, and it's also very delicate. You don't want to scratch this stuff. Always, please, check the smoother before you put it to the wall. Did somebody scratch it? Did you scratch it? It should be on your tool belt all along. No screwdrivers, nothing else. Now that I know it's smooth, look at this. Look at that beauty. You know your windshield wiper on your vehicle? It has to conform to the windshield in order to get all the water off. Now, here's what I do. Just so you have an idea of what I'm talking about this business, about smoothing out these bubbles. Now, you gotta eat your Wheaties for this. Water first. We don't want scratches. You see if it's textured. You know, you're not gonna scratch it, it's textured, it's already rough. Okay, let's go. My body, I have my arms extended. Quick. It's full up and full down. You're extending 36 inches and you're pulling it down, pushing that air all the way out. Now on the floor, I have carpet masking. I have the plastic. I'll show it to you after the video if I remember. It's plastic that sticks to the carpet, okay? Gotta do it. Doing good so far. Let's go down here. When you go down to the bottom, switch smoother. Let's show you how it looks. You see, I get most of the water off by doing that. What does that tell you about my smoother? It's really conforming to the wall, isn't it? At the bottom, I use the white smoother. I don't want my newly contoured smoother banging into that trim. Okay, I'm going to get back to work. I hope that you learned something from this. By the way, let me just tell you what I do here. I hung this sheet 4 hours ago. I don't bust my seams yet. I don't bust them. I'm waiting for the air here to rise up. Watch what happens. Oxygen goes up, right? Boom. That wasn't there when I installed it. That's all my air collecting. Now I'm going to push that upward toward the trim at the top. And then that's going to break into little bubbles. And they're fine. They leave. That's not going to leave. We got to get that out. And I'm going to do the same procedure over here. What you saw over here was what was going on over here. It's all gone now. This was installed 6-7 hours ago. Okay, now we have to learn about wallpaper, and if your substrate isn't perfectly smooth, then your wallpaper is not going to be perfectly smooth, obviously. But you see this here? You see this, for example? Right here. You see that kind of, that goes. Get that just pulls in. All of that just pulls in. You get to know your wallpaper on what's going to stay and what's going to leave. All of this here, the wallpaper pulls up against it. Remember, we have a bed of glue under there, a bed of paste, and we can't call this vinyl fully dry for at least a week. If you wrapped mayonnaise in saran wrap, wouldn't it stay wet for several days? This is exactly what I tell my customers. That's what you're doing when you put thick vinyl on walls and then you sandwich in that paste. That paste doesn't dry the next day. It does on residential wallpaper, most of it. Residential wallpaper is permeable. It's thin. The oxygen passes through the shell. This shell is for commercial use. This stuff is supposed to last 20 years. And so the shell is hard. And so the gases escape upward. It escapes into the sheetrock behind it through the seams and with you pushing it out. Otherwise, they dissipate by the water in the paste evaporating and then the material just pulling up against the wall. Double cutting seams. Not perfect. If you you can fix that now. Don't double cut an imperfection, you'll be in trouble. How is it that the rest of it is perfect, but one is? Because you got to put it up right. I still have to make it right. It's not the wallpaper, it's you, the installer, it's me. Oh, somebody just texted me. Okay, so we're gonna double cut this. Commercial vinyl generally gives you 1 inch. I can't decide, it tells me. There comes a point where the wallpaper just meets up and you can pick and choose. I prefer 1.5 inches, just in case you're a little off. Because you gotta make a straight cut down this line. Now, for those of you who never did a double cut, what does that mean? Well, here's the piece on my left, and here's the piece on my right, but there's a seam here, folks. Look, you see it? We're overlapped. Why is it so nice and tight? Spencer leaves his seam for hours. Hours. I want it tight. Here's why. When you cut through it, it doesn't move. If it moves, you never know what it's going to look like when you join the two seams together. So I'm going to show you how I do my double cut, all right? There are various, look at how beautiful it looks. I love when I smooth it out and it starts looking flat. There's still wet paste under it, so it's not going to be dry overnight. We got to give this thing 3 days at least. Okay, check it out. I'm going to set you up over here. I'm going to do my double cut, all right? And it's a no-brainer, but for those of you who have never seen it, I'll give you a fresh video on it. You got to use the right knife. It's got to be sharp and brand new. And you have to use some sort of a guide. I've seen people freehand this. And it's crooked, they don't care. We don't do stuff like that. So you can use a laser, but I'm going to use the edge of the wall covering as a guide. If you stay consistently 1/2 inch away from the edge, your cut's going to be straight. If you don't, your cut is going to be crooked. And so, let's start the cut, all right? Okay. Now, I haven't taken my knife off of the product, but when I do, it's going to be on one of these yellow stripes. Why is that? Because if I mess up, you won't see it. Does a professional mess up? Ha! Let's snap a new blade while we're at it, right? And let's bring you down below. Since we've done a good job so far, I want you to see the rest. When I first did a double cut, I needed a glass of wine afterwards. A very large glass of red wine. And then after that, I needed a glass of red wine. If that's you, don't worry. It happened to me too. You have to press hard enough to penetrate the material. Don't be afraid of pressing too hard. It's better to press hard than not hard enough, because it is a disaster if you don't fully penetrate the second layer. Don't let it be you. By the way, if you're shopping at Home Depot in the month of April 2021, anywhere in the continental United States, all you have to do is tell them that you watch Spencer Colgan as Wallpaper, and you get a 15% discount in all Home Depots. Just tell them that you know Spencer Colgan and that you watch his videos. And when security escorts you out of the place, tell them you were joking, or that I was joking. Okay, let's take you up close. Let me show you what we did, okay? Now, many of you viewers, I love you guys. You know, you say nice things, you make nice comments. So what did I just do? Well, I penetrated the overlap. So what does that mean? Well, we just pulled off the piece that I cut, right? So what do I got to do here? Well, if you look underneath, you still have an underlap. When you do a double cut, you have an overlap and you have an underlap. Now, since we penetrated both, we got to get rid of the underlap. Could you leave this on? Do you have to do it right away? It varies. Some guys don't do it the same day. Okay, now I'm pulling it off. See, for those of you who are new at this, that's what I'm doing. Like, it kind of gets confusing, right? When you see it done. Now check it out. All we're gonna do is take our smoother. This is a very good product. This is where you can scratch this kind of wallpaper. So you gotta be, I would say wet it down, but then if you wet it down, it's not going to stick. So I don't advise wetting it down. I used to do it, but I don't anymore. See, I just cleaned off all these air pockets. New ones are forming. Vinyl is notorious for air pockets. Now, let's see how we did on the cut. Ah, Spencer, it doesn't meet up. What are we gonna do? Well, you're not gonna complain. And you're always gonna look like you know what you're doing. Always. Even if you don't. Oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. Just tell the customer you know what you're doing. And give me a call. This camera. Okay. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna move it into place, because guess what? This vinyl, you can move it. You can move it. Sorry about all the bumping around. Spencer, move the camera. What do you think? And you keep doing it. I used to panic when I was doing this. My first double cut, I was so worried, you know? It's amazing when you do vinyl. It's so easy. Look at that. Okay, so don't get scared, like, but don't let it be 3/16 of an inch off. If you're off a 16th, I'm telling you, it moves while you just go have lunch. It moves. I'm telling you the truth. It does move. And it's nice when it's solid. You don't have to worry about meeting anything up, but check it out. All right, so let's just move it away. Let's make it look crooked. See, it doesn't meet. Now watch. okay? So I don't want my viewers worried. I don't want you worried about anything, okay? Now, wouldn't you agree that's the most important meetup? People are gonna look at that. It's funny how people don't know how to use any tools, right? But then you hang wallpaper for somebody and you know, you come in and the wife who had nothing to say all of a sudden, honey, get me a level. Get me a level. Husband brings it, he doesn't even know how to use it. She puts it up like this, right up against your wallpaper like this. It's crooked. All of a sudden, she knows how to use a level. You know what you gotta do? You gotta get her level and then break the bubble. So it doesn't work. Just kidding. Just kidding. Let's keep going. And she doesn't even call the tool by the right name. Honey, get me a leveler. He comes running in with the level. And you want to look at him like, give him the dirtiest look. Because he just walked out of the room a half an hour ago and says, looks beautiful. Now he's handing her a weapon, a leveler. And she puts it right up against a line like this. See that? She goes, this is crooked. And I'm like, ma'am, that's a 45-degree line, please. Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I know it ain't level. But that's what you're dealing with. Okay, so as I said before, we gotta make it look nice. And so you play with it, you know, okay? Make those lines meet. I mean, listen, folks, it's a lot of work. I mean, the bottom line, right? It's a lot of work. But there you go. There you go. You make it look beautiful and you go enjoy yourself. And don't have 2 glasses of wine. Just have one. Just one. Right? Look at that. Look at that. See how it meets perfectly there? And then we go down 12, 13 inches. And we're a 16th off, right? It happens, you know? You finesse it. I consider myself a finesse wallpaper hanger. I don't like rushing. I enjoy what I do, and I'm seeking perfection. Although only God is perfect, right? So we try. Okay, so, and then we're gonna clean this off. Do you like cleaning the wallpaper? I tell you, I love looking at it after it's clean. I just love it. Now, let's clean it off and then you can judge my work. How's that? And so I'm using my new, I'll tell you folks, for $20. I think I paid $22. I love this tool. I don't know how long it's gonna last because they use plastic around the moving parts. What's your favorite household chore? Does anybody like cleaning? I like cleaning my wallpaper. So let's see this. I showed you how I made my contoured smoother. This was made, I designed this. I have it patented, and the patent number is 20147-384. I'm gonna sell them for $13 on Amazon. I'm only kidding. Just joking. I met a woman who called me about wallpaper. No lie. She said she kept going on and on. How you doing, Spencer? I heard a lot about you. I read your reviews. I love your work. I want to get you into, I want to hire you to hang my wallpaper. I got a couple of rooms. I got a couple of ceilings. I got a couple of walls. And by the way, do you do outside wallpaper? It's under... I said, ma'am, I have all of that on my YouTube channel. She goes, oh yeah, I got a YouTube channel too. You want to watch it? I'm going to text it to you. It's she gives me her name and .com. And then she tells me, she says, by the way, I have the Guinness World Record for the fastest talking woman in the world. I kid you not. Her name is Fran. Check it out. So I said, I am amazed. I said, do you know anything about archaeology? She said, no. I said, do you know how to distinguish between a male skull and a female skull? A human male and a female skull after rigor mortis and after full decomposition sets in? She said, how? I don't know how to do it. I said, the female skull has jaws that still move. She didn't get it. She did not get it. So, needless to say, I mean, I had to make believe. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, she didn't get it. So, what we're going to do is smooth this out. Oh, please don't write into me, please. I'm only joking. Please. Only kidding. Okay, this is how we use our contoured smoother. 2 hands. Can you see me? Look. See that? Right over our new seam. Look at that. I don't recommend a seam roller for this. Your glue is still wet. You're going to make an impression with a seam roller. This does the job. Again. Press on it. Put some force into it. You can do it. Okay, this is a professional seam. Now this is a good workout. Now I just happened to lose 20 pounds over the last month. So this is a good workout if you're looking to lose weight. Let me show you the seam up close. I want to direct your attention to right there. There's your seam. That round, what do we call that? A circle? That's where your seam is. I'm going to show you from a distance. This is how you would see it if you were here. Then I'm going to bring you in so you can examine for yourself. Do you like it? But you didn't like the video. You didn't click on like. Why didn't you click on like? Thank you. For half of you who just did it, thank you. Thank you so much. That's how you do a double cut, folks. Don't be afraid. Go right at it. Have confidence. Penetrate that wallpaper. Do it. I'm going to tell you something else. If you're afraid, if you're going too far, take 2 pieces of wallpaper before you start your job and put one on top of the other and penetrate both of them. Do a double cut. Try it out on a different part of the room with the same product. There's always scrap even in these murals. Take a look at the top. You see that scrap? You can do it. Get to know your paper. Don't fail because you were afraid and then you got some customer telling you that they don't like your work. No, no, no. Every wall covering is different. And so when you get to the job, you make sure that you're comfortable with making your double cut. When you're double cutting commercial vinyl, after you overlap your wallpaper and continue on the job, right? Those are all double cut right there. Here's what you want to do. You want to examine your connections because, folks, this stuff moves. It's vinyl. The room gets cold, it constricts. The air conditioner goes off, the doors are left open, it lets loose a bit. And it manifests itself in variations of misalignment. It does. Not to mention the fact that the oxygen in the paste is evaporating, even slightly. And so it's constricting, it's moving. Before you double cut this, make sure that you're lined up. Okay, we're not lined up here. Just give it a push, get it in place before you cut this thing. Oh, we're really good there. Okay. You know what I'm saying, just get it in place because it's gonna make the difference when you run that knife through there. Okay? So, that's my advice with that. You know, this could be a real nail biter if you're off like 1/8 of an inch. Oh, trust me when I tell you. Now, here's the secret. Here's a secret for you. This is our overlap, okay? Now, check it out. Let's use logic here. Where am I more aligned with this piece here? Here or here? Who says here? My question is, how would you know? How do you know that it's right over that? Guess what? Cut it here. Run your blade as close to this edge as possible because you know you're aligned here. You know that this can't possibly be off when you reveal your double cut. Cut it 3/16, 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. Don't go all the way in the middle. You don't know what's under there. Do you understand what I mean? Don't stress yourself. These are little ways that I have discovered to make my job easier. Okay, so let me do this double cut and show you what it looks like afterwards. Okay, I've made my double cut. What did I take off? A small piece. 1/4 of an inch tops. You see why I'm telling you to do it? You know you're aligned right at the edge. Come on, I'm trying to help you out here. Pull your overlap off. Now, go to the bottom and pull. Here's why. Don't do it in the middle. You know why? You could stretch this stuff. There's our underlap. You can stretch it. So, you know, if you start tinkering in the middle of the thing or something eye level, then you get someone said, look at this, something wrong here. Come over here, come back. You don't want to do that, right? So, we're going to clean this up, bring the seam together. Look at our alignment. Look at that. Folks, I share with you the errors of my life. I should have a YouTube channel that says, learn from my mistakes. Spencer Colgan. I used to cut it over here too. Oh yeah, we got plenty of space. And then you're all misaligned. Did that ever happen to me? Yeah, it did. And so how did I remedy it? I told the customer, let me get you a bottle of wine. I bought him a bottle of wine and I said, come in and look at your wallpaper when he was finished with it. I got paid, and that was the last time I made that mistake. Just kidding, I'm only kidding. Okay, our seam, where is it? You see the electric outlet there? It's right here. Okay, I'm gonna get closer. And welcome to commercial vinyl with a glossy finish. Now, why do I say that? this wall covering is notorious for showing its seams, okay? Let me show you how much tension there is on this wall covering right now. Watch this, just watch the seam. I'm positioning my body. Watch this. You see that? I'm pushing the seams together. And then the white reduces like by half. Look, I just want to prove to you a point. See it right there? Between my fingers here? Look. Now I take my hands off. See that? I'll do it again. Okay, you see that? I'll take my hand off. There's so much pressure, tension on the wall covering right now, where the seams want to come apart, you know? So that's why I highly recommend not using a seam roller and making track marks, but using this contoured, it's dissipating the paste that's right under the seam, and it's floating it this way and that way. Why would I want to do that? Well, is your paste wet or dry? It's wet, right? And what do you do when something is slippery? What do you tend to do? You slide on it, right? Well, your wallpaper slides on the wallpaper. Check this out right here. Watch this. You see that? That would be ideal, right? Now watch. So you work the seams, and for the new wallpaper installer, take into account the time that this is going to take to make this perfect. You got to nurse the seams, that's what I call it. So after working the seams, I gave it another wash with that excellent tool that I have. And I just took both of my hands on each side of the seam, using the bottom parts of my hand. And I just, like you're kneading dough, kept pulling it together from each side. It takes a lot of muscle to do. But as it's drying, it comes more and more together, that seam. And you just have to, you got to give each seam a good 20 minutes of a wall this length. 20 minutes on a seam. By cleaning it, going over it with that contoured smoother, and then pulling it together with the palms of your hands. It's the best way that I find of the seam coming together perfectly. It's still wet. It's the end of the day. But I busted my seams, all of them. I have a little lift off at the bottom. I'll just touch that up. But double cutting doesn't have to be a nail biter. How do you like that? Isn't that awesome? Our corner's nice and tight. Remember how we did that. If you didn't see that video, I think I put it on a separate video.